Asmongold's fault I got detained? What is this? So is Hassan blaming me that he got detained at the airport? Yeah, guys, I made the call.
And I was shocked. Were unironically brought up in that conversation. The Houthi. Like, did you?
That's right. Yes, that's right. Saying that
Wait, I never said Asmongold is the reason. What? I like that these guys live in their own little bubble where they say stuff like this. No, I never said Asmongold is the reason. I said that the type of shit that Asmongold and Redditors would bring up were being brought up in the line of questioning by the federal government, which I thought personally was insane, right? Because you would assume that the investigations that the Customs and Border Patrol or the Department of Homeland Security are conducting would be a little bit more informed than like a Redditor comment. Bro, everyone is jumping to be the villain in your story. It's insane. I know. You really can't do anything without someone getting pissed off. I know. It's because there's an entire ecosystem designed around dumb who don't know anything, who don't even understand the consequences of this kind of behavior from the federal government and how that might impact them or a loved one in the future, just simply are in it for drama and clicks. Of course, I don't even expect Asmongold to do the basic cursory analysis of like whether or not I even brought him up or blamed him for it. He just probably read a Reddit comment and immediately went along with it.
you support a designated terrorist organization got you extra questioning whenever you were re-entering the country.
Oh, you want to see a Houthi musical?
Sure. See, I know they're singing.
This is not, once again, this right here, what he's showing right here is constitutionally protected speech and does not actually reach the standard of a Customs and Border Patrol investigation. That is the whole point. Why are people behaving as though this is normal when the entire reason why this is newsworthy is because it's not normal? There is a reason why every single news outlet wrote about this story. The reason for why every single news outlet on the planet, including international news, wrote about this story is because this is new. This is not something that is normal. That is the whole point. I am so frustrated with the stupidity of the people that have so much motion in the online discourse spaces that just rely on the stupidity of the audience to craft these idiotic arguments. Is the same reason why people will turn around and say like, well, Mahmoud Khalil was doing material support for terrorism. No, he wasn't. And that is precisely the reason why. That's a precedent-setting court case that is unfolding in front of us right now at this very moment. It is precisely the reason why he didn't do that. The reason why he didn't do that in the government's claims for this detainment is invalid, that it is becoming a Supreme Court case. You can't just simply go, I agree with it, so, you know, it's actually normal and routine. You can't just say that. You can say you agree with this detention and then craft an argument around why you agree with this detention, but you can't act like this is normal, especially at a time when obviously adults, journalists are going, this is not normal. Very frustrating that stupidity is rewarded over and over and over again. You can't even get your rights violated without some moron chirping, bro. I really do not envy you. I know.
Yeah, but I'm seeing just guns and shit. This isn't a music video, Hassan.
We think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do.
I have no problem with the Houthis. Yeah, because I don't. What do you mean?
Yeah, okay, there it is.
If you think I'm a terrorism supporter for that reason, then yeah, I'm a terrorism supporter. What are you talking?
Okay, well, there it is. Wow.
What do you mean, okay, well, there it is? You can't just say there it is and then that's your argument. This is still very much constitutionally protected speech. Please, what is going on? It's so basic. I feel like a 14-year-old understands this concept. Oh my God. I guess you don't believe in free speech, which we knew already. He does not.
Can you believe the levels of oppression that we have today?
Gotten me arrested is insane. And I genuinely, in that moment, was thinking like, these dumbass slop tubers are actually playing with fire. And I even thought,
really playing with fire. Okay.
About, yes, they are. They are. By the way, I like that Asmongold immediately assumed I was talking about him when I said slop tubers. I guess he knows that he is a slop tuber. Yes, the fact that the federal government is utilizing lists from terrorist organizations like Beitar to actually conduct unlawful detentions and deportations of student activists. The fact that the federal government is literally conducting investigations that basically revolve around like slop tuber drama is alarming. Yes, that is what is going on here. That is what is alarming about the situation. It's still crashing out pure cinema. This is, oh my God. I am a political commentator talking about my own personal unlawful detention by Customs and Border Patrol, which is a matter that has escalated so severely that international news is covering it because it is unprecedented in its nature, while simultaneously talking about the dangers of what this means for the future of all Americans in a country where the government is saying that they want to deny habeas corpus. This is my job. It happens to be a unique instance where it's not only my job, but it's also something that I have personally experienced. This is not a crash out. This is called political commentary. I know that so many of you are so firmly locked in on drama and slop and can't understand news and commentary and news coverage without thinking everything is drama or without thinking everything is slop. It's very frustrating not even mentioning this because I was like, I don't want to give him any.
Okay, so that's the first lie here. Does anybody actually believe that he actually thought of not mentioning this?
He actually instantly tweeted about it, and since then reposted it dozens of times.
The reality of the matter is 100% the Trump administration is working with a lot of these dipshits.
That's right. I made the call yesterday when...
No. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's extra frustrating because not only is this incredibly stupid, but it's extra frustrating because I know the audience is incredibly stupid and they don't have the reading comprehension here. And all they will do is listen to Asmongold's framing on the matter. My opinion here is the unique nature of the federal government's incompetence paired up with their interest in violating people's constitutionally protected First Amendment rights. It's not only serious, it's not only incredibly dangerous, but it's also incredibly incompetent. It's incredibly incompetent. For example, and this is an example that I used in my commentary yesterday, the Trump administration's central command used targeting from a random Twitter user. And in the process of using targeting from a random open source intelligence account from the Netherlands, they ended up killing 8 civilians in Yemen because of one of the targets that they had created. This random open source intelligence account living in the Netherlands caused the federal government and caused the military to go and strike a random area in Yemen. The State Department has actively worked with organizations like Beitar that are insane. They're terrorist organizations. Like they have 501c3 status, but they're like very actively and known to be terrorist organizations. They claim to be open Kahanis and Jabotinsky supporters. These guys are creating deportation lists for the federal government. That's the reason why Rumeysa Öztürk was detained. That's the reason why she almost got deported for writing an article on a student newspaper. This in and of itself is so shocking and so alarming. And my job is to, of course, talk about this from the perspective of free speech. It is my job as a political commentator. These guys do not understand anything. They think everything is drama. They do not understand how this can impact them as well.
Hassan wasn't in the country. He was in France or whatever. And I was like, Donald, all right, we've got our chance. He's going to be coming back in a day or so. So just, yeah.
Dipshits are playing a formative role in getting people in trouble with the law.
Yes! That's the point. We don't want people supporting terrorism, promoting terrorism on the platform.
So wait, he proved the point that I was making. I'm 99% sure it was the Trump administration's inadvertently working with a lot of these dipshits, but Asmon's editor cut out the inadvertent part. I don't know what the original comment I made was. I don't remember, but I mean, I guess we can find it and look at it and see if he actually cut that part out, but it doesn't matter because he then turns around and admits that like, yeah, we want that. We want this to happen. We want the federal government to go after people that we don't like the speech of. Like he then turns around and admits the point that I was making, which is that this is dangerous. This is danger. This is, you're playing with fire. Like what an insane statement. Like what's the argument here? That you want me to be in federal prison because you don't like my commentary on American foreign policy? What a psychotic thing to admit. This is the type of shit that should instantly cause someone like this to, and their fan base to go, what do you mean? You want a Twitch streamer to go to federal prison because you don't understand and like his commentary on American foreign policy? What kind of free speech absolutism is this? So you're not a free speech absolutist. You are not a free speech defender at all. What's shocking about this is that it doesn't even revolve around like genuinely held convictions or political disagreements. It's just simply drama and how much the algorithm will feed Asmongold. That's what's so psychotic about it. The way Asmon talks about you in this administration is the same commentary he had when watching World of Warcraft videos. I can't see him as more than a biggest slop boss. I know. Bro, he's just hateful. What don't you get? No, I get that. I get that. I understand that. What are you talking about? What these guys do not understand is they just stand on this position where they personally think that this won't actually impact them at all. And they're stupid for it. Mike from PA said, oh, here, this was the tweet. I also retweeted this as well. But here, he also had these statements as well, where he was just like, are actually playing with fire. And I even thought about not even mentioning this because I was like, I don't want to give him any sort of like power over the situation. The reality of the matter is 100% the Trump administration is inadvertently working with a lot of these dipshits. Yeah, I did say inadvertently, and they cut it out to make it seem like I said the Trump administration is working with these dipshits. It's so silly. It's so silly. It's so disingenuous. It's so bad faith, but it doesn't even matter. Look at the disdain that he has. This cockroach. Really interesting was in the actionable side of things. Yeah. They also asked, have you ever interviewed a member of Hamas? Have you ever had a communication or correspondence with a member of Hamas, Hezbollah, or the Houthis? Now, what's really fucking insane about that is that as someone who works in media, sometimes I do actually do journalism, right? As I've maintained this position over and over again. And I said that I would...
Journalism is when you tell people that they're like anime characters.
Yeah, okay, first of all, bro, be for real. Asmongold defended you at the start of all this and extended charitability on almost all occasions until you continue to slander him. What do you expect? Back at the end of the day, what are you talking about? I've never even demanded that he gets banned off the platform. You know that, right? Even when he said Palestinians are an inferior culture that deserves to be genocided. You understand that? He's been calling for my ban and now has elevated that to calling for my permanent detention by the federal government because he doesn't like my commentary. This isn't petty drama, you moron. This is real shit happening to me, and one day will happen to you. If it can happen to me with public figure status, with money, why do you think you're protected? God damn. You literally talked to him to explain shit to him after that statement like you extended so much charitability? I know. What are you, what is this like? Oh, dude, he's not charitable anymore. I don't care if he's charitable to me, dumb. There's a difference between charitability from Asmongold or whatever, and also actively supporting the federal government, packing up people that he personally has a distaste for their opinions. Like, what do you mean? He's been calling me a terrorist for months at this point. You got checked at the border. They question you. That's not a rights violation. Brother, that absolutely is a violation. What are you talking about? Do you think that the government can ask you questions and potentially deny you entry into the country over your opinions of Donald Trump? Are you that stupid? Yes, it is. I'm an American citizen. And as an American citizen, I have protected First Amendment rights, which means that even if I were to literally tell the Customs and Border Patrol agent that, like, I love Hamas, there is no way that they are supposed to deny you entry into the country. It is the United States Constitution. They let you in? Yes, they did. But the entire purpose of this silly detention was to create a chilling effect on free speech. It is a direct violation of the federal government's responsibility not to do that. If you're coming back from Colombia and have pics online of you with kilos, you get searched too. Wait, what? Coming back from Colombia and had pics online of you getting with kilos? What? Was I coming back from Yemen with pictures of me online with prominent members of Ansar Allah? I was in France, dumbass. What are you saying? Do you understand why you had to find a totally ridiculous comparison? Does that bring up any red flags in your mind as to why you had to come up with a totally separate situation as an analog here to make this seem more justifiable, in which, by the way, it still wouldn't be? They didn't put you in jail. They didn't charge you with anything. They didn't think anything. Holy shit. It was an unlawful detention where the line of questioning revolved around my loyalty to the current administration. If you cannot understand how this is a severe escalation from the current government. I don't know how to explain this to you, and it will inevitably happen to you as well. Also, possession of narcotics or evidence of your possession of narcotics is not the same thing as protected speech. You understand that, right? Do you not recognize how this violates your rights as well? This means that a Customs Border Patrol officer could just, like, again, falsely detain whoever they want and just question them for hours on end about their loyalty to Donald Trump. Or let's say under the Brandon administration, they were like, do you like DEI? It says here that you don't like DEI. Why don't you like DEI? Why don't you like gay people? Why don't you like the idea that titties in video games are smaller now? Why do you want them to be bigger? I lived in Mexico for a bit and got questioned deeply coming back in before, and I did less than what they would see about you online. I guess at this point, it just, this guy is just a bootlicker, right? Like he's basically saying that, like, it happened to me and it was an unpleasant experience, but it's totally normal and it should happen to every single person. Did they ask you about whether you like Donald Trump when you came back into the country? Was that the line of inquiry? No, it's not normal. Also, it wasn't like a couple questions from the border agent at the gate. The entire reason as to why this is a newsworthy situation, I'm going to try to do this to the best of my ability to basically explain to people over and over again. The reason why so many articles have been written about this is precisely because this is not normal. It is a new thing. It is a new thing. That's it. Like, it's not normal to have done this to you, even though you lived in Mexico for an extended period of time. So it's not even a perfect comparison here. But you have to understand that the line of questioning is precisely at the heart of this problem. He's literally going down this line. That didn't actually happen. If it did happen, it wasn't that bad. And if it was that bad, that's not a big deal. And that's actually totally normal. And if it wasn't normal, well, you probably deserved it anyway. I know. Virtually all of these conversations turn into that. All of these conversations turn into, oh, it didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad and it's normal. And if it wasn't normal, you deserved it. And as a matter of fact, if you deserved it, you deserve worse than it. Every single MAGA bootlicking dumb online, every single Asmon Roach fan is operating on that same boundary where they just don't understand how much of a severe violation of their own personal rights this is. Your approval rating by the public is as low as the Democrats, 21%. El Bozo, keep on losing, son. Lamau, what? A decade of improving this space and making it a kinder, more inclusive space, and Asmon just sends it on a rocket back to Nazi hell. They're going to be saying slurs again by next year. Oh, for sure. I mean, they already are. What do you mean? Think about how many people we ban on a daily basis. Yeah, if Asmongold left this rotting ass house for once and actually left the goddamn country to get on a plane, which I assume would be a biohazard to begin with, so he might not actually be able to get on the plane. But let's say he took a shower and he wasn't actually a risk to others around him, and he got on a plane and he flew out of the country, came back into the country under the Biden administration, and the Biden administration detained him and were asking him about his personal politics, about titties in video games, or his support for the AFD, and saying, well, under our administration's perspective, the AFD is actually a dangerous far-right radical group, or the fact that he, named his WoW character after Anders Breivik or something. Do you think that his audience would not talk about how much of a cancel culture-backed movement was taking place here? Of course they would. They would lose their minds. They would understandably lose their minds. You want to know why I know that? Because people on Twitter get mad at Asmongold, and he cuts content about how he's been canceled over and over again. And millions of people cry alongside him. This is not a cancellation. This is a violation of the First Amendment rights that every American citizen has. It's a violation of numerous rights. That's precisely the reason why so many, like ACLU and so many of these other civil rights organizations and litigators have come out to be like, this is completely unacceptable. Do you not understand this? I like that we are also in the process of seeing how fascism manifests in the collective consciousness as well. Like, how many people find themselves staring directly at a situation like this that might even impact them in the long run and refuse to entertain the notion that this is completely unacceptable, refuse to entertain that the idea that this should not happen. And they just go along with it and say, nah, it's a person that I don't personally like, so I cannot comprehend how this would somehow turn on me one day. This is how fascism takes place. This is how people cheer for authoritarianism. when you look at the current government and you make this calculation, understand that you are basically advocating for your rights to be taken away as well, erroneously, ridiculously, arbitrarily. It's not about your own personal opinions of me. It shouldn't be about that. It's not about that. It's not about your own personal opinions of my commentary in general. It's about your rights, because my rights are also your rights. We are both American citizens. Definitely not a fan of yours. With that said, I cannot believe anyone thinks that this whole situation is okay. I hope that you will reconsider the people that you see online that actually cheer on this ridiculous situation. I hope it at least like causes you to reflect on your previously held judgment on content creators like this, who don't understand how dangerous this is and simply cover this from the aspect of drama. And no, we can't just talk to each other. You want to know why we can't talk to each other? Because Asmongold is scared shitless of talking to me. I've said that I would talk to him 1,000,000 times over. He tells his audience his new meta is to say, well, I'm bad faith and I'll just lie about him or something like that. And and that's why he doesn't want to talk to me. And he would instead use his elevated position to constantly cry and demand I get banned off this goddamn platform. And now, I guess, banned from living a free life. Notice how there is this unique space where a lot of people love chirping from their hug boxes and refuse to entertain a direct conversation. He literally did not cheer and said you shouldn't have been detained. You should stop pandering to your audience. What are you talking about? We just watched him say it's good. We don't want people like you who are terrorists to keep saying terrorism when talking about my detention. Not only that, but he has also routinely demanded that I get banned because he didn't understand what I was saying. His own personal misunderstandings are the reason as to why I should be banned off this platform. I mean, you could just stop promoting that stuff and I'd imagine it would all stop. First Amendment is pretty based, even if it applies to you, homie. Wait, I'm actually ignorant. What right do I risk losing here? I mean, you could just stop promoting all that stuff. Don't you understand that that is literally the point? Yes, you are unironically advocating for no free speech when you say, well, if the government's going to come after you, maybe you should shut the fuck up about that sort of thing. That's the whole point of free speech. You might not agree with me on this, but I have a firmly held conviction here that is rooted within facts, okay? Your favorite content creator might not recognize that, but that doesn't change the reality. Self-censorship is a chilling effect on free speech. It's the whole point of the First Amendment. I agree with detention stuff being fascist, but how many times do you act like supporting jihadism and jihadist organizations is about being libertarian or anti-fascist? When have I promoted or supported a jihadist organization? Do you think Hamas or Ansar Allah or Hezbollah are jihadist organizations and jihadism? Once again, that's your inability to comprehend the differences between civic nationalist organizations that are engaging in militancy against a settler colonial entity in the region. These are nationalist emancipatory movements. They're not jihadist. You're just saying that because they're Arab. You're saying that because they're Muslim, and you just assume it's like ISIS. You don't even know what the word jihad means to begin with, but I'm not even going to entertain that because I'm understanding what you're using that as a terminology for. Also, it doesn't even matter because while I obviously do not support any of the groups that would be considered jihadist by your perspective, even though you think all of them are, like ISIS or Al-Qaeda, okay, even that is still constitutionally protected. Constitutional protection does not revolve around what you find to be distasteful. Then it shouldn't exist. Then you're basically making an argument that it should not exist at all.
Yeah. I don't want...
Look, it's Hamas, Diddy, Bin Laden, Pixar, it didn't happen, Adolf Epstein, Piker in the flesh. Ban me, trust fund baby. I'm not going to ban you because you're so stupid that I think we will keep you as a pet in the chat.
To be too particularly mean.
I like that these guys have also deluded themselves into thinking that this is like normal commentary that other people on the outside will hear them say and will go, yeah, that's a normal guy who said those things. We're keeping him. Thank you, daddy. I am your daddy. I am your father. That I would...
Journalism is when you tell people that they're like anime characters.
For the record, you might not like my conduct in a conversation that took place with someone that I thought was a Houthi, found out he wasn't a Houthi, and then chose to humanize. But that doesn't mean that there isn't journalistic value in that conversation. As a matter of fact, yes, there was journalistic value in that conversation. It was a scoop that many in the media also tried to get. Just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean that that is not a valuable conversation that took place. There were plenty of valuable pieces of new information that came out of that, like, for example, the fact that we learned that he is not a Houthi, or the fact that we learned that he actually has no issues with Jewish people as long as they are anti-Zionist.
Yeah.
So he was just some other terrorist? What are you... Okay. No, he wasn't. Terrorism isn't just like brown person that I don't like. I know that you're using it as that, as a catch-all term, but that's just gross and racist. No, he's just a 19-year-old Yemeni who supports the Houthi movement, who supports the Ansar Allah movement. So the other side of this, for the record, the other side of this that is like really dangerous that I wanted to also talk about is the fact that material support for terrorism is illegal in this country, as in you are not allowed to offer financial help to a designated terror group. You are not allowed to offer logistical help, training, things of that nature to a designated terrorist group. But this administration is trying to muddy the waters, as previous administrations have as well, in an effort to erode First Amendment protections. They want to make it so that speech is considered material support as well. There are court cases that have been set forth already to get to this point. They are trying to blur the lines between offering any sort of commentary or any sort of support verbally for a designated terror group they want to turn that into material support, which is already under existing law as being illegal. This is a severe violation of the First Amendment protections. That is by design. They are trying to do this to take away the constitutional protection that you and every American and every non-American on U.S. soil has. Do you understand? That's the point of contention here.
I don't want to be too particularly mean, but if Hassan was as big of a journalist as he claims he would be, maybe Bernie Sanders would sit down with him for more than 15 minutes.
Once again, Asmongold, I don't even consider myself to be a journalist, but journalists do. It's not my consideration. I routinely say I'm not a journalist, although I do have the capacity to sometimes do journalism, as I mentioned here. I know words are very difficult for you to comprehend. But also, what I simply don't understand is there's just such a basic thing that you can Google here. Like, I didn't just talk to Bernie Sanders once. I talked to Bernie Sanders for a longer period of time before then. Like, I don't understand. We're just like, how many hours do I have to talk to Bernie Sanders until, I guess, Asmongold considers me a journalist? Is Theo Vaughn a journalist since he had a 2-hour conversation with Bernie Sanders? Is that how this works? Is there a Bernie Sanders metric? Normal media hits on NBC or whatever also take 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes. Oftentimes it takes 9 minutes, 5 minutes. Like, it's a certificate where if Bernie Sanders talks to you over a certain period of time, then you're considered a journalist, I think. Isn't the whole point to invalidate people actually researching and declaring the truth in his little clips to make that factual, since everyone will just listen and not do their due diligence? Yes.
Not trying to be mean, but you're
I'm
a
not trying to be
streamer.
mean.
Stop trying to act like you're a journalist.
I'm not. I don't say I'm a journalist. I say I'm a Twitch streamer and a political commentator. But a Twitch streamer and a political commentator does have the capacity to do journalism from time to time. That's just the truth. Now, ironically enough, once again, I don't say I'm a journalist, but journalists do consider me to be a journalist. That's part of the reason why journalists like Ested Herndon from the New York Times will have me come and speak at the University of Chicago, as I did yesterday, to talk to an entire room about modern media. Someone came up to me at the airport last night, a Hasanabi head, said that she wrote her thesis on me, said that apparently in Northeastern, the college that she went to, that there were 3 media courses specifically designed around what I do in new media and politics. So the space that we're in is relatively new, and I try to do my very best. But it seems like people who study journalism, they consider this to be a new area of journalism. Having said that, once again, I don't consider myself to be a journalist. I don't say I'm a journalist, but international media certainly does. Tell him he's a house troll. Stop trying to pretend his opinions have any basis in reality. He's not even a part of society. I know. And I already do plenty of that as well. But the unfortunate reality is that there are a lot of dummies out there who do take his word as bond. So we are trapped in this unique space where I have to entertain the stupid ass arguments that he's trying to put together. I would have given the opportunity to talk to someone that is a part of the Ansar Allah movement, a Houthi, or even Hamas, or even Hezbollah, right?
Nobody would be criticizing that. And you guys remember, I defended him interviewing this guy until I watched it and I saw the entire thing myself.
I like that he also thinks that like his opinion is worth anything. How deluded do you have to be like, yeah, you know, I'm a real mover and shaker in this space. A guy who hasn't washed his ass in 8 months.
Because I agree with this in essence, but not in this practice.
Yeah. Oh, he doesn't think that it was it doesn't reach the standards that Asmongold has for journalistic ethics. Guy who watches Tyler Oliveira videos every broadcast to go, yeah, based. Oh shit, my bad, dude. Thank you. Who died and made you the journalism pope, brother? I think that I have the right to do so. And what was interesting, you don't do journalism, you grift. I know, chatter. That's why the federal government is trying to arrest me. Yes, because I'm grifting too hard. Still has more views than you. Yeah, I know. He's always had more views than me. Do you think that actually means that he is in a position of authority on what is journalism and what isn't journalism? The Big Bang Theory was one of the most successful TV shows in times while it was being aired. What does that tell you other than it's just the most popular show? I don't know if Boomer, but chat too fast. Yeah, let's call up Mr. Beast. Let's hear his take on the Houthis. He has the most views, obviously. He has more views than you, but he's still jealous that you are being taken seriously and not him. I don't even think so. I don't think Asmongold is. I mean, Asmongold is a very insecure person. Obviously, that's the reason why he stopped streaming on his main account, because he was worried that people were going to yell at him or people were yelling at him too much. But since then, he has obviously elevated his status on his alt account as well. But I don't think he necessarily cares about people taking him seriously, because if he did, he would at least like try to change up his image. You know what I mean? I think he just sees this as content. He just sees this as drama. He knows that a lot of people love getting fed a constant feed of unregulated slop that says Hassan is bad and wrong, and that's pretty much it. He does care about being perceived as intelligent. I think so. But if he cared about like his, I guess if he cared about his perception, he again would change up his presentation a little bit. But I think the only thing he cares about is being liked and having high views, like high viewer counts. That's pretty much it. I have to correct you. He runs through his sprinklers once a month. Oh God. That's what it is. Thank you. Yes, you're
So the federal government is trying to arrest him because he's doing. Okay, I get it. Yeah.
fucking dumbass slop tuber is correct. I'm grifting.
I'm gonna have to say that I don't think that he's grifting. Like, I think he believes what he's saying.
Why don't you support Al-Qaeda? The Houthis are in control of Sanaa, northern and western Yemen, and those are the areas of the most active child slavery. Read the last link. I don't get why you feel so compelled to defend horrific stuff like child slavery simply because the groups are not aligned with the West. Is pathetic. What's wrong with Al-Qaeda in your opinion? Oh my God. We have a Saudi defender in the chat. Oh my Lord. We have officially arrived at the funniest position that a chatter could hold, who says, what's wrong with Al-Qaeda? They're doing great work in Yemen. New guy unlocked. Hell yes. No, it's not a Fed. It's a person that either A, is trying to engage in debate by saying, well, if you support the Houthis, why don't you support Al-Qaeda? They're both anti-West. That's either the argument that he's trying to fucking present here. One of the simplest ways to have this conversation between Al-Qaeda and the Houthis is that the Houthis, while still backed by Iran in terms of its support, is a national movement within the boundaries of Yemen, whereas Al-Qaeda, on the other hand, is a Saudi-backed terrorist organization that not only did 9/11, but is still used by Saudis as a form of militancy that is brought into different areas. It's not like a unique formation that exists naturally. They are an irredentist force in general. If they're not an imperialist force, they are an irredentist one. So existing naturally would justify their actions? No, of course not. Of course, existing naturally would justify their actions, but you're asking me a very specific question about their involvement in Yemen, okay? Because you want to draw a comparison between the Houthis and the Saudi-backed Al Qaeda movement in Yemen. So I'm explaining to you what the difference there are. No, I wasn't. Oh, come on, dude. So why did you keep saying what's wrong with Al Qaeda in your opinion, while also simultaneously talking about the Houthis in Sanaa? I was just I wasn't asking for your opinion on Al Qaeda. What? Why don't you support Al Qaeda? I wasn't asking for your opinion on Al Qaeda. I was. Yeah, Al Qaeda is bad. They did 9/11. They're a force of imperialism in the region. They behead people. Why was 9/11 not justified resistance? Chatter. Okay, maybe you might be a Fed. I take it back. He is Fed posting. An act of terror that overwhelmingly targets an entirely civilian population is, of course, a deliberate act of terror. What are you saying? They killed 3,000 civilians. Most of them, they killed 3,000 civilians. I don't even know if there were any active military in the area to be. So October 7, do you know what my opinion on October 7 is? Are you comparing 9/11 to October 7 first and foremost? But do you even know what my opinion on October 7 is? Are you just coming in here to why isn't October 7 justified resistance? October 7 had plenty of civilian casualties, which I also consider to be an act of terror, even though it was conducted in the process of an emancipatory force that operates within the boundaries of historic Palestine against an illegal occupier that is a belligerent occupier in the Gaza Strip, that is illegally an occupier in the West Bank. It still led to a shit ton of civilian deaths. My analysis of the situation revolves around how much more violent the Israeli occupation is in comparison to what Hamas did, and not even just Hamas, but the entirety of the Palestinian liberation movement did on October 7. I do this by offering historical context to other liberation movements. Slamming two commercial airliners into the Twin Towers is not the same as any number of different liberation movements, especially considering the fact that Al Qaeda and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was backing said actions on 9/11. That's either H3 or Pestany viewer. Yeah, it's so funny to still try to have this conversation when everyone finds your opinions to be horrifying. Can you name a single action of Hamas that you support as a defense force against the belligerent occupiers that are currently conducting a genocide? What Hamas is doing in terms of resisting against Israeli occupation and bombing campaigns is legally justified under international law. They haven't done a good job defending? Yeah, because, the other military force is far superior in doing a genocide. That's the reason why. The question to you is, would you be more defensive of their position if they were actually smoking more Israeli occupying force soldiers? Is that what you would say? Would you go, yeah, no, they're actually doing great? No, you wouldn't. Shut the up. Yes, 100%. Oh, shut up. Stop lying about 9/11. What the is a lie? Stop lying about 9/11 to prove your point. That's vile. What's the lie that I said about 9/11? You made him a political streamer. If you ignore him, he'll move on and go back to gaming. Yeah, totally. That's why I did ignore him for the longest time, and he still kept doing political commentary over and over again. Do you think that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia had no connections to the attackers on 9/11, aside from the fact that they were also, almost all of them were Saudi nationals? Or do you think that there isn't a direct money trail from members of the royal family? Because there is. Both of those things are correct. 9/11 was really bad. This chat is wild. Hamas sucks. 9/11 was really bad. This chat is wild. All right, let's continue.
Your idea of saying somebody's grifting is stupid. Like, somebody is grifting whenever they believe something and then they do the opposite. I don't know what to say. And so one chatter, no, and the thing is, like, he gonna get mad about that. That's it. He's lying and he hates his fan base. I don't want to get into that.
He's lying and he hates his fan base. They justify defense against occupation for conducting their jihad. ICC have arrest warrants for both the Israeli government officials and the Hamas leaders. Why do you put so much weight on Hamas being legitimate? They justify against occupation for conducting their jihad. brother, I don't think you understand any of these terms. Hamas is not like a Salafist organization. The correct term that you're looking for, I think, is Salafist, like ISIS or Al Qaeda. Okay, not jihad in terms of the way you're trying to apply this. I like that the amount of chatters that are trying to catch me slipping, quote unquote, in an effort to clip stuff and then like send it directly to the State Department has increased at an alarming rate. But I do think that this is educational in nature, having these conversations. So every now and then I will entertain it. You might think that this is just a simple derailment, but I do think that it's good to have these sorts of conversations. They don't need to catch you slipping. It just needs to be edited. As long as you say the general words, they will do the rest. Well, that too, yeah. Hey, what do you think about Trump taking in those white South Africans as refugees? Meanwhile, we, the black 90%, are still in poverty and can't get jobs because our names get flagged as too black. I think it's ridiculous for the Trump administration to claim that there is white genocide happening in South Africa when there's no evidence to show for it, whereas no one will entertain the mountainous evidence for Israel's genocide of the Palestinians. But having said that, I don't really give a shit if they bring in a couple Thors from South Africa into the country. It's really stupid. Like it's just him trying to bait the white supremacists. That's it. It's him signaling to white supremacists. Yeah, he's doing decolonial action. Decolonial Don, JD Pond Don. He's Mr. Jay Sakai. He's Jay Sakai's bravest soldier. Obviously, there are a lot of sick white South Africans out there. Okay, some of them are in my community. There's a lot of brave and awesome white South African people living in South Africa right now. But the guys that will take refugee status to come to the United States of America are literally the neighbors that unironically no one wants to be around anyway. So it's almost like a service. I like what Trump is doing there. It's a self-selecting group of some of the worst people. So it's great. He should do that for Israel. Offer refugee status to all the settlers of the West Bank and then put them in a real land without people for a people without land. Idaho. Or Florida, you know, offer them refugee status too. Get them out of Israel, okay? Get them out of occupied Palestinian territory and bring them here to the United States of America, to Florida, where they will thrive. Montana yearns. Don't clip that. Wait, what? Nothing I'm saying is even remotely inappropriate. Voluntary migration into America away from occupied territory? Great. Hell yeah. Give me your Boer well-fed waddling masses. Yeah, I saw that. JD Pondom, baby. Look at them. South African refugees arriving in the U.S. looking like they haven't struggled a day in their life. I genuinely don't care about this. Like, I think this is, I mean, the only part about this I care, the only part about this that I think is like gross is the fact that they're claiming that there's a white genocide happening and it's not. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
That's the whole point. Yes.
That is literally the case.
And also, by the way, keep in mind, nothing happened to him. He didn't get fined. He was allowed re-entry into the country. He was inconvenienced for a period of time. And yeah, that's what happens when you...
Asmongold, when random Twitter accounts say he's disgusting and smelly, will make videos crying about it endlessly. But when the federal government detains you for your constitutionally protected speech, he's
he
like,
knew exactly who the guy was.